Hello, students. I'm here today to talk to you about the literary analysis paper that you all are going to be writing, where you're going to be using a raisin in the sun and fences. You're going to choose one of the following prompts and write a 3 to 5 page literary analysis paper. Again, you're only writing to one of these prompts. Prompt 1 reads, in what ways do the characters in The Raisin in the Sun and Fences resist classification? Write a paper in which you discuss how certain characters in A Raisin in the Sun and Fences resist classification. You may focus on two, one from each play, or more characters. I think that is the one I would write to personally if I were writing this paper. I think it's an interesting topic. I think it's provocative. I think of characters like Beneatha and Troy resisting, and Walter, and even Lyons resisting classification in these plays. And I think they're really interesting to look at. So that's my favorite prompt personally, but I think the other ones are good too. This year, we have read or watched both August Wilson's Fences and Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. Write a paper in which you examine how the authors present a common theme in both plays. In this one, with this prompt, you are picking a theme that you think both A Raisin in the Sun and Fences share, and you're writing a paper that discusses how both plays illustrate that common theme. So that's in that one. I feel like you could really use your pre-writing. Prompt 3 reads, the relationships between characters in August Wilson's Fences and Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun have unique dynamics. Write a paper in which you compare a relationship between two characters in A Raisin in the Sun with a relationship between two characters in Fences. I think this one is a challenging one. Again, when you're comparing, I want you to think in terms of differences within similarities and similarities within differences, to give it some depth. I think interesting comparisons would be the marital relationships in both plays. I think the mother-child relationships are interesting to look at, or the parent-child relationships in both plays. You could even do sibling relationships, which would be a little bit harder, I think, with Fences than with A Raisin in the Sun. But you could probably tackle that. But you're comparing the relationships, the similarities in the relationships. So I think this prompt is probably the most difficult. Prompt 4 reads, this year we have read and or watched both August Wilson's Fences and Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. Write a paper in which you compare one character from A Raisin in the Sun with one character from Fences. I would say this one is one of your easier ones. Again, I think Walter and Troy can be compared. I think Troy and Mama can be compared. I think Ruth and Rose can be compared. I think Beneatha and Corey can be compared. I think you have a lot of options for this one. Prompt 5 reads, this year we have read or watched both Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun and August Wilson's Fences. Write a paper in which you examine how the authors present the idea of the inaccessibility of the American dream in both plays. So with this one kind of locks you into the idea that the American dream is not always accessible. So it kind of locks you into a theme. And so I think this one's probably a little bit easier as well. I'd say if you want a challenge, pick 1 or 3. I think 2, 4, and 5 are definitely a little more manageable, but I believe all are interesting, and I hope you find them interesting too. Your paper has to be 12-point font times New Roman or Arial, or Courier New is fine as well. You have to have a heading with your name, my name, class period, and the date. European style, that's MLA formatting. It needs to be double spaced, has to have page numbers. You need to use examples from A Raisin in the Sun and Fences for support. That means 2 direct quotes from A Raisin in the Sun, 2 direct quotes from Fences. You have to follow MLA guidelines for writing literary analysis paper as discussed and explored in class. You'll definitely want to watch the Ed Puzzle video I made. It's an assignment anyways. Must include a works cited page at the end. Your paper is going to be graded on ideas and content. How well do you write a thesis? How well do you support that thesis with evidence from the text? How clear your writing is? How well you justify your claim? Organization. How well you bring the reader into the piece of writing. How well you leave the reader with something to think about. I like to call it the final so what. How well you transition from paragraph to paragraph. How well you logically structure your overall paper. That's organization. And then conventions, use your best grammar, punctuation, spelling, capitalization. Those are the 3 things I'm grading this paper on. Your final papers are going to be due Friday, September 11th at 2:30.